Hi, I'm Nicholas Burtner. We're working with nature, and today's permaculture tip is going to go over the basics of swales. So in permaculture, we have a technique, oftentimes also called an element, called swales, and its purpose is to harvest water passively and to become a tree growing system. So this video is really a twofold. It's to explain easily what a swale is, but also if you've been caught with the bug of permaculture and you are infecting others, you are probably telling them about swales and the benefits and what it can do, and chances are you have a smartphone, so now you'll be able just to show them this video. So let's dive right in. The definition of a swale is pretty simple. It is a water harvesting ditch on contour. So that's pretty simple. Where we lose people with that is when we say on contour. So let's go ahead and hit the most complex part of this first, which really isn't all that complex at all. And let's talk about what contour means and how does building a water harvesting ditch on contour work. Let's draw a hill, and we're going to draw this looking at it from the top. So if we had a bird's eye view or a satellite view, or we were in an airplane, we were looking down, this is how we're going to draw this first picture so we can understand what contour means. So this is the base of a hill, and let's just say the peak is over here, and the peak kind of looks like this. So contour is going to come up like this. So these are kind of meaningless without numbers. So this line is going to represent 0 feet or 0 meters above elevation. Above sea level. So this is 0 meters elevation above sea level, or 0 feet. And we'll do increments of 20. So this line is going to represent 20 meters or 20 feet above sea level. This one 40. This one 60, and our apex here is going to be 80 feet or 80 meters above sea level. So this is like looking down on a hill. Right? If I was to look at this from the side, it would kind of look like this, right? Just a big hill. So when we draw a water harvesting ditch or a swale, we're going to choose one of these contour lines. For ease of use, let's say I did it here at 60 feet, and I'd come in here and I would mark this out, typically by using a A-frame or a laser level or a transit level. Actually, we have videos on that. You can find those at our YouTube page or on our website, workingwithnature.org. So this is how we mark these out and draw this ditch. Now, it doesn't have to be on each one of these lines. Say I wanted to draw this on, here at 30 feet. So I would come in and I would peg a spot, but we would just make sure that we stayed 30 feet the whole way through. And if we wanted, we could go all the way around as well, right? That's really it. If we looked at it from this side, it would kind of look, the 30-foot one would kind of look like this, and the 60-foot one would kind of look like that if you look at it from the side. So that's the explanation of contour. Now let's get a little bit more in detail to what a swale is, how it's basically made, and what it can do. And here's our slope, like this, and one of the first things we want to do is create the swale. We want to dig the swale first. So what happens is we move the material from the inside of the swale directly below it here. So we move this material that was here to this berm that is here. So how this is going to work is, first off, we have this slope, and then we have what's called a back cut. This is the back cut. We have a level bottom, and then we have the berm itself. So what happens is water starts coming down in the form of rain, and water is very constant. It will always flow with gravity and 90 degrees to contour. So since we create these contours against the slope, it starts drinking the water passively, and then it comes into these swales, and in a light rain it might not even fill up. In a light rain it comes here and it immediately starts infiltrating and sinking in, and the land is digesting the water. It's drinking it and digesting the water. On a heavy rain, these will start filling up. They'll fill up with water on a heavy rain. Fill up so much as if you had a big swale, you can drive a jet ski through it. I've seen fish or water moccasins running through very large, old established swales. When this happens, it usually takes 2 or 3 days, maybe a day or so longer, for this water to truly percolate and get digested into the system. So as that's happening, what we're doing is we're hydrating the landscape in a subterranean way. So it's coming down and infiltrating the soil and the subsoil, and it's filling up the berm, and it'll eventually hit an impervious layer like bedrock down here, and it'll hit that layer and start moving horizontally. Will eventually come up later as the soil gets too oversaturated with water. It will come up later and create a spring. So this is typically a good thing for most cases. Now that is really hydrating landscape. That's really changing our vision on how we can drought resist and even drought proof landscape. I've been on sites where clients and customers have talked about, they're thinking about going to the creek or a river to take that resource and put it into their landscape. So this is really changing the thinking and saying, look, we can capture the rain from the sky and infiltrate it into the land passively. Right? That's really using the lens of permaculture to realize what we can do, not from a need-based thinking where we have to bring in resources, but we create resources. We don't have a problem with enough rainwater on the planet. We have a problem with the storage of rainwater, and swales is a way that we can do that and put water into the landscape and passively for pennies. So this is what it's doing. It's harvesting that water. It's drinking the water. Now, a swale is a tree growing system. So what we want to do with this is we have different areas on here where we can plant trees. And since it's permaculture, we want to do food forestry. So if we're talking about a highly productive tree or a very expensive tree, like a fruit tree or a nut tree, we typically want to put that one, give them the crown here on the top of the berm. That's where they're going to be most beneficial in most climates. There are other areas to plant on the berm. Here are the major areas that we use for planting. We also use this area here sometimes as well. And this area is also really good for nitrogen fixing trees, which also can be interspersed through here as well. If we were in a dryland climate, like a desert, we would definitely want to plant a tree inside the swale and use mulches and ground covers heavily here, especially in a dryland climate, so we can store the water even longer, because mulches and organic matter store water. Matter of fact, 3 centimeters of organic matter will hold 1 centimeter of water for an exceptionally long period of time. The higher and the more height you have in the organic matter, the longer it will hold that for you. So this will grow the trees, and later on downhill we could start putting trees here, because water will be percolating and digesting into the subsoil and really provide an area where these tree roots can align with the fungal network and bring water to it at all times. One of the other things to mention here is what are the other benefits that are happening when it's drinking water. So as it's drinking water, oftentimes people want to say, well, look, you know, we want to use our well, just like we mentioned the river earlier, to irrigate. Not always the best idea, not a bad idea, especially in dryland climate, but not always the best, because what we do here is we recharge aquifers. And anything above 2,100 feet below below grade, we have influence over. And we can influence those aquifers and wells and recharge them just by using a swale system. This is very amazing work that we can do. It will also recharge ponds that are a little bit downhill from these swales as well. And later on in subsequent videos, I'll explain later how we can attach these as accessories to ponds and really grab the whole landscape water. Love you guys, and we'll see you later.